I'm gonna call the workshop meeting to order.
Special meeting.
Special meeting or
I think there's
special workshop meeting, how about that?
half a dozen now. 6.
Yeah, because if we do anything, then we. Um. All right, so. Nice. We just had we had an attorney-client session and expert session before the meeting to go over some legal issues and have the members asked to the attorney, the expert, a couple of questions, non-deliberative questions. So we're here to go over the Carson Power Dean River Road projects. We're going to be first off, we're going to go over, last time we met, we closed the public hearing. Subsequently, we received and continue to receive submissions. And it's a bit of a sticky situation as far as because the public comment period has been closed. At that time, we did not leave it open for written either. We closed the public hearing. So Warren, can you inform the board here, like how are we supposed to be treating? Oh, John.
I was gonna ask if I could be heard first on that subject. Excuse me, can I first with my board, John? Yeah, I want to hear what I had to say before you guys say goodbye. So go ahead. Thank you. Go ahead, John. I just wanted to point out that the Berkeley lab study was not something that was prepared for our clients. It was only so the submission of that study was really just notifying the board about something that was a study that was in existence already out in the public realm. That study is available to anyone. So it wasn't really a submission in the nature of public comment. It was just to follow up on Mr. Demari's remarks that were made at the last meeting. Thank you for letting me have something to say.
So whatever was submitted subsequent to the close of the public hearing should be rejected by the board. You can't take evidence and comments after the close of the public hearing. So whatever was sent from Mr. Farrell and that study should not be accepted by the board. I think there were several letters that were sent, 2 or 3 by Helen Marsh after the close of the public hearing. It's improper to submit those comments after the close of the public hearing. There has to be a cutoff time.
However, materials that we have discovered or come to us or through our research, we are allowed to consider.
You can always take advice, from so.
Berkeley, is it Berkeley or Berkeley? I don't know. Or it's just Berkeley, right? Berkeley study. Actually, Steve sent me before we even heard it from. Yeah. So that is something we were aware of, and went around before even we heard it from the community. And that's something we're going to discuss a little bit tonight.
So if
as far as
accept that,
I
think you're compelled to accept the response to that you received from the applicant's attorney.
So even if we just considering it, we have to accept the applicant's response.
Well, you can't just.
Well, I mean, we
have to be even-handed.
I guess so. I mean, Steve sent an article with the study in it, like the day after our last meeting. Well, whatever. I mean, I don't have a problem. Is there a problem accepting the thing from the applicant?
Well,
does it open everything else up then?
Yeah, technically you're not supposed to do it. It's a violation of the open meetings law. So it's up to you. My recommendation is that whatever was sent to the board subsequent to the close of the public hearing by members of the public or neighbors of the project should not be part of the record.
Okay,
Or does that leave us with articles that we've done in our own research that haven't been submitted?
You have to make those part of the record, and it's a never ending.
so if we make that part of the record, then what?
If you do make that submission for Mr. Farrell and the study,
Well, I could show you the article.
you would have to then accept the comments from the applicant's attorney on that.
And that opens up a defect with everything else, then?
I'm not gonna give you an opinion on whether it's a violation of the open meeting law. My recommendation is not to accept anything after the close of it.
John,
You want to reopen the public hearing?
oh god. John, what did you?
I just wanted to say that even if you choose to reject, I mean, what I guess I'm hearing is that the board came to knowledge about the Berkeley Lab study before Mr. Farrell submitted it. If the board members have come across information on their own, there's no, I mean, you can reject Farrell's letter, but it doesn't mean you can't consider the Berkeley Lab study if you come to that information's come into your hands through your own investigation. And perhaps the applicant's entitled to submit some information to refute that if that's Warren's opinion. Not going to object, at least without doing some research of my own, but you can consider the Berkeley study if you came to it on your own. It just has to be placed into the record with a statement saying that you did come into that in your own investigation and you're going to consider it.
Hi, this is Alicia Legland, the applicant's attorney. I just wanted to jump in on this point, if you would permit
The
me.
applicant's attorney.
Oh,
If you
Yes,
would
go
permit me
ahead.
just a minute.
Hold on one
Um,
second, we're just getting you a little louder.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. I appreciate that. If you would permit me just a minute, I would like to clarify that the submission of the study wasn't just a notification that a study exists. It was included with a memo that was obviously argumentative and indicating a position. So it wasn't just flagging for you a study that exists. It was absolutely a submission for the public record and for the balance of equities and to ensure an adequate record. The applicant felt it was necessary to make sure that there was a submission regarding that study and that memorandum. So I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
I would
Thank you.
suggest that we accept the Farrell letter and the attachment of the Lawrence Berkeley study and the rebuttal from the applicant's attorney.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Second.
Wait, hold on. As opposed to just the study itself that we, whatever the word is,
Yeah.
discovered and
Yeah,
separate.
okay, won't hurt anything.
But Warren, you're saying that could be problematic because of all the
I
others.
don't know how that, we'd sort out if the lawsuit is filed, but if you want to do that, go ahead and do it.
I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, clearly the Lawrence Berkeley study exists.
right, and we knew
And it's
about
not
it
like we're
from,
gonna-
what was it from Solar? I'm trying to find it in my email.
It was a study of,
No, I'm talking to Steve where he found it. Thank you.
I don't even have a phone, but we could look them up.
If it's helpful, I did look at the record and it was provided to the planning board as part of BFJ Planning's memorandum to you, with their conclusion being that there is literature out there and it's inconclusive as to the effects on property values. That was one of the studies that they cited too. So that's probably where it came to you.
For the last meeting?
Before that.
Stated October 13th.
Yeah.
Yeah, so why can't we just consider the study and reject all the commentary?
The study was
I withdraw my
attached to
motion.
the memo. It was a reference to the study in the.
Understood.
Did
So-
you actually submit the study?
No, it was a reference.
Summary, the study.
And then, what was the date of that meeting, you know?
What's the bridge one?
11.
2 weeks ago.
Oh, the 11, yeah.
Ah, here it is. InsideClimateNews.org on the 12th. Steve sent that to me.
And they referenced it on the 13th.
Yeah,
That is dated,
Yeah, we're pretty sure the quote.
yeah, it was before, because Frank, I believe Frank Fish talked about it at the last meeting.
and again, so Steve found this thing and sent it to me, so I suggest we look at the study and reject the commentary. I mean, we know the arguments anyway, but I'm like, you know, right, I mean,
That's fine, yeah.
all right, so can I,
I withdrew my motion
well, can I have a motion to,
to accept the Lawrence Berkeley study into the record of the hearings.
while rejecting any
Any
commentary
comments
or submissions that were
After
sent
the-
in after the deadline?
Yeah.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, so it's passed unanimous. Okay,
So I'm sorry, are you going to accept
we're,
submission from the applicant's attorney on it?
No,
We're not,
I would think we can't, right? Because it's after the timeline. Now, once we discuss it now. I don't know, is that we're gonna go over it now. And talk about it with each other.
Okay,
And deliberate, because we haven't done that. So. Then technically they can resubmit their or redo it and based upon or they can't submit anything.
if you're going to accept that study in bulk that was submitted after the close of the public hearing.
Warren, we're not accepting this, we're accepting the study that Steve found on the 12th of October. Only the study, not the letter from John. We're only accepting the study that we knew contemporaneously or whatever you want to call it, before that we even got the letter. I mean, it was sent around.
If referenced it in there.
Just a reference, but not the study itself.
And on the 12th, Steve sent it. And when was the meeting, the last meeting?
The 11th.
So it was the next day,
It's the next
Steve
day.
sent it. Is that's not, I mean, we found other things that we send each other. Is that not okay? Or is that something we're not supposed to be doing?
No, but I think it's only fair to I think if you're going to accept the study. Or you're not, I'm not saying accept the substance of the study and the import of the study, but if you're going to make it part of the record. Then the applicant's response to that should be part of the record also.
Oh, man, I don't. Well, couldn't they, we're never gonna go over it now. So say if it never happened before, right? No one's, we're now gonna go over the study that we found. They can now, would they now be able to submit some response to it at this late, after the public hearing has been closed and we just happen to go over this study that we found and go over it in the meeting? Are they allowed to submit a response to it? Regardless of this other submissions that happen?
I think that would be appropriate.
That would be appropriate. So after we go over it now, they can now, tonight or tomorrow,
They submitted, they sent it to
we're rejecting that.
the board.
We're gonna reject that. They can send something now after we go over it. They might have different comments based upon what
And
we
we'll
talked.
leave that up to the applicant.
Correct.
Want to resubmit.
Is that sounds appropriate?
I think that would be fair.
Okay. All right, so if we can pull up the Berkeley study, just, obviously just the study itself, not any. This thing,
Do you want me to share it like that?
yeah. You put it on Zoom.
So can I ask a question? So is that motion voted upon?
Yes, we voted.
Vote.
Yes, it was unanimous.
We're not gonna read this.
What's that?
We're not gonna read this.
We're not gonna go read the whole thing, but everyone, the board members here have read the study, right? I mean, we all saw it. Shared it. So can you go to the conclusions? Just so we'll start.
Towards the end.
Yeah, it should be, well, the abstract.
There's something in the abstract that I.
There should be something in the abstract. Yeah, right on the first page in the abstract. We examine the impact of large scale. Blah, blah, blah. You find that homes within 0.5 miles of this LSPVP with large solar arrays, we'll call it from now on, experience an average of home price reductions of 1.5% compared to homes 2 to 4 miles away. Statistical significance effects are not measurable over 1 mile from from the large scale arrays. These, and now here's where the things get, in my mind, where it's important to note these distinctions. They're only measurable in certain states. And only for the arrays constructed on agricultural land, for larger arrays, and for rural homes. And if you look at the definitions, right, that they talked about in the study, the application that we're looking at has is 2 different categories. It's greenfield for the forest, and agricultural for the ag land. So, so we have some of it that, falls within this statistically significant area, and some don't. Also, if you look, the 0.5 mile band is, I don't know, the 0.5 mile band was the one with the high confidence level, right? Everything above that. So they go to one. So where's the one with the distance? Distance. Page 10.
Yeah.
This one, right? Is that?
That's the one you're talking, yeah.
So the distance between 0 and 0.25 is a super high confidence level. Then the distance between 2.5 and 0.5 also it has a 0.05 confidence level. And then the ones larger than that have a 0.1 confidence level or higher, which is not. Well, I mean, I don't know, maybe, I don't know who could speak to that, which expert, I don't want to give my opinion straight away, with Sarah or George, can you explain to us about confidence levels and what? No one?
Oh, I didn't review for that, but
No. So no, sorry, we're not. So the standard is usually a 0.05 confidence level. Or better. 0.1 is, is basically 90%, which is 10%. It starts getting pretty large of being that there's a 10% chance that it doesn't affect the values. And then it just gets bigger from there with distance. But
That's not necessarily true, but.
We are discussing amongst ourselves. Thank you.
We need a scientist to tell you what statistical significance is.
Okay, should we suspend the meeting and have you removed? Okay, please stop talking out. All right, we have a lot to go over tonight. Thank you. Okay. So they give it to 1, right? That's what they said. So if you look at the map, right, like how many homes are even within like that area? That was the first thing that came to my mind. It was for the half mile, and then if we want to even go out to the mile, right, the mile is across the valley, right? So they also seem to mention a lot of it had to do with visual. How and it obviously makes sense that when you look at the study, the agricultural lands were highly impacted because in agricultural areas, what do you get, right? You have like giant corn
Farmland, yeah.
right? So, and
A couple things that jumped out at me
Yeah, go
in
ahead.
this study was in their abstract, they talk about they did a review of existing literature and they said that previous studies had mixed results, which led them to apply for the grant that got them to do this study. And they point out that they only looked at property values. That's all they were looking at. And they say there are other factors that impact local economic impact of solar installations. Quote, the impacts of local energy development are also shaped by local tax revenue and employment impacts, which have consistently been found to result in positive benefits. This implies that's end quote. This implies that continuing the quote, this implies that homeowners can and do capitalize the positive impacts of renewable energy into home prices. Well, it's in the Lawrence Berkeley study, quoted from them. That's in that study that everybody says we should be paying attention to.
and you got to figure the conservation easement must have some sort of positive effect.
Right. I mean, I think what I'm getting at, at least in my, and I've gone back and forth on this past 2 weeks quite a bit. The numbers in this study, to me, are not significant. They're not significant numbers. Even the highest number that they come up with on purely agricultural land within a half mile, 4.2%. I looked at my Zillow for my house. It's gone up 6% in the last 6 months. The fluctuation of prices is an elastic thing that is affecting all of us. And so I can't imagine that there isn't some margin of error in the numbers. So that might actually wipe out a 4.2%. When they do a survey of political things, they interview 2,000 people and the plus or minus 3%. Well, this is a study of 1,800, I think, or something. I don't know the numbers, but I mean, that number that they have, 4.2%, it could be actually 0 or 1%. And in terms of the value of your home, if that's all you're thinking about, that's going to be, I mean, what's happened in the last 6 years with property values around here? I mean, you could take 4% and add it on every year, and you wouldn't even catch up to where we are right now if you started 5 years ago. I mean, it's, so the value property wise is not something I can think makes a difference in terms of this. I mean, it may be in your mind, you may think that, well, my house is going to be worth 4% less because this facility is going to be a half mile from my house. Your house is probably in 3 years, it's going to be increased in value by 20% or 10%. I don't care, whatever number you want to, it's going to go up.
Is that?
Well,
But try not to talk to the, yeah.
I know, just, okay, you're sure. Okay.
But yes, to keep you.
Board members,
express
that's my
yourself.
take. That's my take. It's that it's an elastic situation. There's a margin of error. Property values are affected by more things than just what's next door to you.
Just close it.
Others, let's hear your opinions.
I agree with Dick. This report, whether we accept it or not, is not helpful for this. It's not, this is not, it's still just a generalization. I agree with BJF who our planners said that it's inconclusive. It's inconclusive to establish whether or not there's going to be an increase or a decrease. It's not, I don't think this plan can be used to deny any kind of application here because it's just not conclusive to this. It's not even New York. I know they're neighboring states. There's nothing even in New York State.
In the neighboring states, to the place where the lead.
They had the least.
Connecticut, Massachusetts, and then California, which obviously not neighboring, but Jersey had.
Right.
Jersey's a lot denser. I don't know what else. I mean, again, they didn't go into trying to posit why, what changed, what was attributed to. They did mention it seemed to be visually based. I know somewhere in here it says that.
Right. And the applicant has indicated that they'll do conditions to try to shield this field from anywhere, and they're gonna put it in the conservation easement. I think that's important. There's BJF indicated that the conservation easement is going to increase the value of a property, and so none of this in Berkeley has any indication what impact that has on that.
You want to say something? No.
No, I mean, I agree. I mean, if you read what Dick just read, and
Kate, you have anything?
no, I agree as well.
No, I agree. There was nothing that was concrete certain. I could say, there's be a decrease in value or increase or whichever direction, but somewhat benign in that sense because there's so many factors on property value that, to point it just to one specific thing seems awfully difficult.
Ethan?
Yeah, it mentioned visual impact seemed to be a huge part of it. Proximity, yes, but they said it's not the end all be all. Every site is specific, which is the same point Frank was hammering in, and all of our consultants. It's any answer we get from another site or another state or whatnot is not going to be applicable in full to Pulver's Corners. You also take into account what Dick just said about property values over the past 3 years have ballooned exponentially in Dutchess County, secondary to COVID and people moving up out of the city and out of Westchester. So now we've hit the top of the bubble. Property values are going to continue to decrease at this point, hypothetically. Where does that leave us with any type of property valuation decrease from a project like this? When you're already taking into account that you're in a bubble. Does that make sense?
This is so simple.
Conditions.
I'm just thinking is there anything else about this only some?
One reason.
Can we please not talk out? Thank you.
It's just so painful.
I'm sorry, it's painful. Please be quiet. Please be quiet. Thank you. All right. Oh, I know what I want to do. And Steve also found a bunch of these cases that I sent around to everybody where the courts basically said that property value, not without specific direct evidence is not enough to, right? That you describe it, Steve.
There's no empirical evidence to establish that there's going to be a decrease in property values, and so generalized complaints and a generalized study such as this or generalized complaints from the neighbors is insufficient to deny an application. There's nothing directly on point for this whole score. It's just what Ethan said. To show that there's gonna be a decrease in property balance. So,
Several cases at the
So-
appellate,
All cases. I see.
right, appellate division. Okay, so. Moving on from that. We have the we have a planning memo that was edited after our comments from the last meeting. This memo has the possible conditions if we were to go and ask for a resolution to be drafted. Sarah, do you want to say anything about this? Do you want us to just go over it, or?
I think, my understanding was that you did discuss this at your last meeting, and there was one, additional request made to add. Let's see if they're under item 2, where we added a little bit more, specificity about the conservation easement. And that a draft needed to be provided to the town board, town attorney and planning board as a condition of site plan approval. So that you all can see what's in there, evaluate it and comment prior to, any sort of, immediately following site plan. Other than that, nothing else in here has changed. There are 20 conditions. And really sort of just outline all the various requirements, with respect to all the many items we've discussed over the last months with respect to this application. I'm happy to go in detail through it, but I think you've shown that.
So the conservation, Warren, can you just tell us about that again? How would that work again, as far as making sure that the conservation easement happens?
Well, it's going to be a condition of the approval if there would be a conservation easement entered into Scenic Hudson, actually. We had discussed, and given the fact that Scenic Hudson has come to the board and indicated that they are prepared to accept it. And considering how well known Scenic Hudson is, I think board reached a conclusion that they wanted to see that the conservation easement was in fact entered into with them. So we're going to want to see the actual conservation easement. That has to be submitted to me. I'll expand on these conditions if I get to a point of writing a decision. I'm going to want to review the conservation easement and review it with the board. And make sure that the protections in that conservation easement are as represented during the course of the public hearing. And it's represented by Scenic Hudson. So that will come to me at some point after a conditional approval, if that's where you're going, of the special permit and site plan. And we'll review it and make sure that it's not only what we want to see, but that it's actually entered into and filed and encumbers the property.
And that would be before any work was done, a tree was cut, or?
That's correct.
Warren, is the same true of the pilot agreement with the town board?
Yeah, that's something that the town board will negotiate with the applicant. It's not within the province of the planning board
Right.
or the public.
But we would not give final approval until that's in place.
That's also a condition that has to be in place.
We have a complication as far as, we talked at the last meeting about making sure they're doing what they're supposed to, and who's gonna mark the tree and who's gonna make sure that the trees. We have, Drew submitted his resignation to the town, so we don't even know. Sarah, what's going on with, the Drew's position? Is there any?
Personally,
Okay, so nothing yet on that, no? Do you know if the town is possibly gonna, have like a dedicated employee like Drew or some sort of would an outsourcing thing sort of happen? Like, I know there's been difficulty with I know you guys are working on like an alternate plan with assessors. Is there something like that a possibility or not?
very often, as someone who's in that role will work for more than one town,
Okay,
and we would not be adverse to having that I mean, Drew works for another town as well at times.
Right. Understood. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that, so that we have to think about that and, you know. I don't know. Yeah, how we want someone to be able to go there as much as needed. If, no.
The town engineer able to do something like that?
Well, Drew wouldn't be marking the trees or anything like.
No, you had to make sure that the trees were marked and that they only cut.
So whoever the code enforcement officer is would do that, doesn't necessarily have to be true.
We understand, but we want to make sure someone who has the attention, the time and attention to.
Right, well, no, I'm just saying like there will, you know, I know like other towns that have had this issue, sometimes even you bring in an adjoining town or somebody steps in. Temporarily, even if they don't want the job full time until you, but there will be a code enforcement officer, I mean, there has to be. Obviously, you know, we can do certain inspections as well, but you know, we're not code enforcement.
Right. So Warren, yeah, just make sure whatever, if we do that, make sure whatever language has enough room in there so that if we have to hire George or somebody to assist or, you know, let the code enforcement officer know that something or whatever, you know, whatever's happening with that. It is very disconcerting that Drew's not gonna be around anymore.
I can assure you, if we get to that point, I'll be putting more meat on the bones for the conditions.
Anyone else have comments?
This is just a point of semantics. I forgot to say it in the last edit. Point 3 should say all emergency vehicles. I don't know why it said just EMS vehicles. I say
Oh, yeah.
emergency
Yeah, I
services
just saw
guy.
that,
Please
yeah.
change that. And the fire chief has already commented on it and said it is fine, but
Yeah, I have that. I'll be expanding them.
Michael.
But one thing on point 3, so the fire chief did look good and sign the plan. The fire code asked for 10% grade for all access roads. We're slightly above 10% grade. So I just ask that you consider, or as otherwise approved by the fire chief.
Right, that language is already in the fire code as well.
Okay,
So the local official having authority. That's to opine. So. Being that he has reviewed it and opined it, it's okay, it's okay.
We got a letter from the fire department. Yeah.
Why does Andrew get to talk and nobody else?
So here's the applicant, please be quiet, thank you. Oh. So it's so supplement screen saying listing person. So number 9, is that's not the ones to this, that's different than the vegetative screening to the southeast, or is that what that's talking about?
I think it's different.
oh, I interpreted that as the trees they've been planting on the southeast
Yeah, I think so too.
corner.
So that's what that is?
I don't think there's.
So that's nothing else. Okay,
There's no other reference to it.
so this is the southeast. Obviously, 10-1 would, number 10 would say, as per the noise reduction plan, they submit it, you know, whatever, obviously would be reference to that.
We discussed the bees.
Yeah, there's something about pollinating.
Or did we not get that in here? I haven't gotten to the end.
Just for the decommissioning thing. Decommissioning.
And then also on 18. It should say site plan following June 5th.
I don't see anything.
Yeah. Yeah, how can we, well, the plants are in somewhere right in the plant plan, right? Where was that? In the operation maintenance plan? Where was like the seed mix and all that? That was the
That was
only.
on the site.
It's on the.
That's
site,
the site plan. And the milkweed or whatever was on that.
Pollinator favorite mix.
Yeah.
So we need that as a.
I think if it's on the site plan, then.
Right.
No, bulleted plants they have in it.
But we discussed at the last meeting about like somehow having the if the town can find someone willing to do beekeeping on the site, that the applicant allow that to happen somewhere. Andrew, I know you showed us a picture about with some other facility you guys have, or some, or Nexamp has with the beekeeping thing. How does that agreement usually go about? Like, if we understand you wouldn't be able to like run around the community and find a beekeeper here, but if the town said we have a beekeeper, we would like to use the area.
I'm sure that would not be an issue. I will say that there in all likelihood will be a lease with a farmer for the remaining property that's not the solar. So that might be in conflict with somebody else's lease to use the property for agricultural uses.
But wouldn't the bees be in the solar area?
They could be.
Could probably be outside.
Yeah.
Well,
Could be outside.
on the fence, yeah, but I mean, how much, yeah, so does the property goes right at the fence line, or do you have like a buffer
For which part?
for your lease?
The lease is a buffer outside the fence.
By,
I'm gonna include the trees and then a little bit of extra area.
Oh, so there's enough for any,
Yeah, I'm sure Nexamp will have no issue with that.
so just some language there, if the town is able to provide, the applicant, if the town, I don't know how, someone come up with this language, if the town is able to,
If we acquire somebody that can source it, they
Right.
will accommodate.
accommodate a beekeeper operating on the premises with access.
Yeah, they can meet like tree qualification standards, insurance standards, all that. Right.
So, yeah, insurance, able to be insured. Obviously, if the bees, somebody goes up there to mow the lawn, the bees, attack them or something, I guess that could be an issue. Whatever language has to happen for us. Does anyone see anything missing? Anything else? No, no one. Mhm.
The stormwater, that's. Prevention plan, that's number.
That's number 4. The SWIP
That's all, yeah, that's all.
is as revised as June 5th, and
Okay.
that's been gone over, correct, George? That's all set? Yeah.
Correct. Thanks.
Anyone else? All right, so with that, I would look for a motion. And we're gonna have to do a roll call vote. A motion to direct Warren to draft a resolution approving the site plan and special use permit.
Motion.
Second.
All right, roll call vote. Al?
Aye.
Ethan?
Yes.
Yes. You?
Yes.
Kate?
Yes.
Yes.
I also vote aye. It's all right. Motion passes. All right. Oh, sorry. Oh, you just wait. You're just on. Warren. You have any? When? That's the question for you.
It's gonna take a little time.
Mhm.
I'm looking at the calendar. November 8th is the next planning board meeting. I will try to have it, because this is gonna take some internal work among I want reviewed by our consultants. And I'll probably be sending drafts to the board, so let's shoot towards November 8th. And have it, the form ready to for the board to formally vote on. If not, I'll let you know.
Okay,
When the next, we may have to defer it to a special meeting.
okay. All right.
To adjourn?
Wait, no, wait. Do we have to do the existing forms thing? Are we doing that
We do
tonight?
have two other matters, don't we
Two.
have, what's her name?
No, she's not here tonight. No. Does it, by the way, on that, has everyone been able to, it's all staked out, right? Has everyone able to get to?
You gotta kind of use your imagination.
Yeah.
It's all-
Okay,
So I sent you a resolution, just a very skeletal draft resolution
which one are we talking
for
about?
the daycare center.
Daycare center,
So
okay.
take a look at that and you can add substance to that as you want. We could discuss it at the next meeting.
Okay, well,
But we do have to do this inform resolution.
yes, that we are doing tonight, so. Well, I don't have to read all the history, right? I could just read just the first.
I know, I was like, there's 3 days. I want to print it out today. I haven't.
The meeting is still going on. If you need to have conversations, please go outside. Thank you. Please go outside. Thank you. All right. So obviously we went over it last week with the whole problem with and we decided to let them have the 12 or whatever, was it 12? 14, and then we're going to now pass a resolution that memorializes the agreement we made with them. Have they come up with any of the stuff yet?
They sent me the material, I reviewed it, I also sent it to Ray Jakowski. If he wanted to see that.
Right.
I didn't have any negative comments on that. So basically what I did was, I prepared a resolution just giving the history of to the from the point of the last resolution of the board, which I've annexed to the.
Everyone, please step out. We're still having a meeting. Thank you.
And
Two other words to say to you, but I'm not.
Go ahead.
goodbye.
Thank you, volunteers. That's not it. Oh, I'm sorry.
So the meat of the resolution is that the resolution dated June 23rd, 2021 is hereby amended to provide that site plan approvals for this project shall be extended for a period of 1 year from the date of this resolution to the following conditions. A, existing farms expeditiously provide the documentation and information required by the Attorney General's office for amendment of the offering plan no later than 90 days from the date of this resolution, and provide proof of filing of the same and acceptance by the Attorney General's office to the attorney to the town and the planning board within 120 days of this resolution. B, that the town code enforcement officer is hereby committed to issue certificates of occupancy as of October 12th, 2023, the date of our last meeting, for 14 of the units. And is further authorized to issue certificates of occupancy for the remaining 14 units as of the date of this resolution. C, that in the event that after the expiration of 120 days, the Attorney General has not approved the amended offering plan, that any deficiencies noted by the Attorney General's office in submissions be corrected within a period of 120 days thereafter, and expeditiously resubmitted to the Attorney General's office for approval. D, that in the event approval from the Attorney General for the amended offering plan is not approved within a period of 6 months from the date of this resolution, the applicant shall appear before the planning board to provide an explanation as to why the approval has not been obtained. E, that this project is approved only for purposes of for sale condominiums and not as a rental project. F, performance bond as required by the amended resolution and the escrow remain intact, and that the escrow for professional services be maintained by the applicant at a minimum of $5,000, which I think at the current level might be drawing on that. And G, except as amended by this resolution, the amendment to the planning board dated June 23rd, 2021 shall remain in full force and effect. And that's it.
All right,
There's one,
where's that, Ken?
It says the Stissing from, it's the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. 7th, whereas that Stissing Farms file and amended offering plan. It says and.
Which paragraph?
7th, whereas.
The 7th whereas?
Yes. On page 1.
First, last word, first line. The resolution required in relevant part that Stissing Farms file and amended.
And
offering.
amended, you're right. Take the D out.
Mhm.
All right.
Is that the only typo?
I was really looking.
So can I have a motion to accept this resolution?
Second.
All right, roll call vote. Al,
Aye.
Ethan,
Yes.
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
Vicky,
yes,
Kate,
Yes.
Dick,
Yes,
and I also vote aye. When was it? 7, right? 7 to 0. What is today? 25th?
Yes.
If you send me a copy of the resolution at school, I'll get it on to their channel.
Okay. Thank you.
Everyone got to look at the minutes from the last, yes, no? We want to wait. Ethan went over them copiously. Can I have a motion to accept the minutes from, what was it? It was a regular meeting, right?
Yeah.
The last regular meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
I
All opposed?
Right.
have one question before we, since you brought up, I thought Sarah was gonna be here too.
Wait, so is that, we're good on this?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, the minutes are approved. Okay.
The daycare has an issue that I found, but it's not necessarily within our purview, so I guess this is a Warren question.
Okay, I'll try to give you a warrant answer.
Vicky and I went over there together and scouted it out. She has one of the most noxious invasive species of plant ever, right in the middle of where she's gonna put this playground. So no matter what she puts on, it's gonna come up eventually. Can we and to ask for its removal, I mean, in Europe, they have to dig down 10 feet, 10
What
feet
is it?
down,
What is the-
Japanese knotweed. So. But I don't necessarily think it's within our purview to say she needs to remove a plant before she puts down whatever.
Is it harmful to like the kids?
No, it's not toxic, but it spreads like wild.
It takes away from the playground, doesn't it? It would interfere with the use of the playground.
Her intention is, I believe, to clear cut everything down like a lawn and then put mulch or gravel.
Yeah. I
Fabric.
think that failed that you have to concern ourselves.
there's some pretty hard gravel right next to that area too. I mean, it's like, it's not like a soft lawn for kids to
Comes
play
in
on.
through houses, given enough time.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm quite familiar with it.
And it's on a DC watch list, but that's all they're doing is watching. Spread rat.
Watching it spread.
It's exploring.
Yeah, I have it in my bag,
So
right next to my house.
I didn't want to bring that up with the.
Let's think about that.
We'll think.
When we finalize the resolution, we can throw something in there.
Sure, I want to thank Sarah for coming up for the meeting.
Nice to see you all.
All right,
Oh, sure.
all in favor?
Bye.
All opposed? Meeting adjourned.